Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you happen to be. I'm here with my good friend Monte Hipsch, and this is our regular talk about AI, WTF. Because we're old, we've been through multiple waves of technology, we're friends, and we're both struggling. Oh, struggling is not the right word. We're both exploring AI at present. Monty, where have your adventures taken you?
Oh, geez, Wayne. If you can't tell my accent, I'm a Yank originally, but I've lived more than half my life in Australia. So I came out here, and when I came out here in 1988, I had to go to the vice chancellor at the University of Queensland to get access to the internet because the internet was controlled by the university chancellors
I remember that.
at the time. And this was for me to be able to go home, disconnect the phone cable, connect my cable to my computer and hear ear with a 33K modem, which allowed me to access Veronica and Archie and some of the tools the university had, as well as allowing me to access CompuServe in the US, if you remember them.
Yep.
Microsoft. And the cost of an hourly connection was between $15 and $25 an hour. If you went up to a faster speed modem, it was more. So I know you were doing the same thing because we're a similar age. And so we've seen technology from first connection of computers to the internet, through email, through websites, through social media, and the next wave is AI. So here we are.
And I remember back then, about that time, Microsoft was trying to promote the On Australia network in Australia, which was Microsoft's version of a walled garden, private, corporate closed internet that they would own, and they were promoting that very heavily. Yes, I remember those days.
And the first two commercial internet providers was the Australian Computer Society had access, and Pegasus Networks was the first one that started in Noosa and then moved up to Brisbane, and I was a consultant to them. And they did the Dalai Lama, and back then you didn't have email, you had pegged mail.
Yes.
So that's how far back we go.
And since then, we've been through, as you mentioned, email, the internet, the World Wide Web, and then the one that changed everything for everyone, cloud. And when cloud came out, everyone was thinking, what the hell has this got to do with weather? But anyway, cloud computing allowed you to have, to get rid of the small business server that you had in your office, because every small business who was doing anything online had a Microsoft small business server, or maybe a Linux box, but mostly a Microsoft small business server in their office under the boss's desk. It was the pride and joy. And everyone had to sit within about 150 meters of it to let either the coax cable or the Cat5 cable, which is brand new in those days,
Yes.
It couldn't be too far away or it would lose signal and it wouldn't work, and rah, 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 lots of stories there. But what that meant was you didn't have to send send a floppy disk with your accounting results down to the bank with your secretary every day or whenever. You could actually have your bank online and you could send it directly to them electronically. It's unbelievable now to think back that, we called tickets we bought for a flight an e-ticket because it was just separated from a paper ticket. Now, a paper ticket was a real ticket and an e-ticket wasn't. And so we called everything e-something or other. Now, email is stuck, but pretty much everything else has disappeared. It's just taken the name of the thing, whatever it was. E-accounting is not called e-accounting anymore. It's just called accounting.
Well, in that progression where we went to connected internet, we went from the modems and we went to the email and everything else, the other thing that blossomed out of that, and I think we'll give credit to Apple for that, was the App Store and everything on your phone in apps. And I remember a guy one time showing me a screen of like 50 or 100 apps. I said, that's ridiculous. You only need 5 or 6. And now I've got that many screens of apps as well.
Yep. And you know, the smartphone was another huge step forward in technology. And now I don't think we can do anything without our smartphone in our hand. It ought to be surgically implanted.
You remember the phones where we had to type 1, 2, 3 for the to get the different characters from the nine numbers.
Yeah, and I had a Nokia phone.
BlackBerry came out and it had a keyboard. Wow.
Well, I had a Nokia phone and I would charge it up once every couple of weeks. And that thing was unkillable. It had a 5-story fall once, and I went down and picked it up off the street, and it was fine.
Now, it was the size of a brick.
Yes. Well, I started out with one that had to go in a car or a briefcase. That's where it all started.
Yeah.
But so we're here today, and the cloud came along and made it possible for your staff to work somewhere else. And COVID taught us all how to work from home. And at the same time, outsourcing was happening. So I work in Outsourcing Fit, which is a company in outsourcing. I live and work in the Philippines, have done for 15 years. And because no one needs to be in the office anymore if they're on a computer-based job, a lot of that work is migrating to other parts of the world. But AI is now coming along and eating some of that up as well. So I know you've done some outsourcing. I know you had a couple of teams around the world.
I had teams around the world, but more importantly, we have a common individual that we both know, and I was able to be an early family and friends investor in an outsourcing company. And then when they were clearing up their share register 5 years ago, they bought me out, but it was about a 3x exit, so that was pretty good.
Yep. Anything you exit with an X beside it is good, Monte. I could. You always hear about the people who invested and made a 10x return in 6 months, but I can tell you lots of stories about investing and making a minus X return after 10 years. So we never hear about those stories.
No, you're right, because I invested in Pipe Networks and I made an exit from that and made some money. And more recently, a company that does biometrics in physio called VALD, which is an Australian company that's global. 96% of its income comes from offshore, and they provide physio tracking for all the major sports clubs, soccer, basketball, football, and now they've gone tactical, so they do SEALs and Rangers and all these sorts of people. So those are all the pluses. And yes, I have another handful that is just not as much money, but I've lost money.
I should mention that we call this thing AI WTF, and I know lots of people will be thinking that that's a naughty word in there, but that's just your mind. That's not us. For us, it stands for wisdom, technology, and friends.
Because does indeed.
We figure that we're old enough to have learned a few things. We've been in technology since you had to light a fire to build the steam up to start your computer, and we've been friends for many, many years as well, and competitors and all sorts of things, but we've known each other for a long, long time. And we talk pretty much every morning, and we discuss the things that old men discuss: weight, prostates, and then what we're doing to fund our retirements. And it occurred to us that maybe those of you who are listening, whether it's 2 of you or 2,000 of you, might like to sit in on our conversation. So we thought we would open it up and allow you to join us. And we don't have a particular topic area. Today we're going to talk about AI and how we're both using it, but we're just going to talk about the intersection of people, technology, and business. And
friends.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think that strangers are just friends I haven't met yet. I stole that line from a multi-marketing company years ago. I'm revealing my background in multi-level marketing and stuff. So what are you doing with AI? How does it fit into your business?
I'm going to go backwards to go forwards.
Of course.
My name is on the screen. Monte's easy enough. And no, it's not short for a Montgomery or Monty Python or Full Monty. My great-grandmother was reading the Count of Monte Cristo. So my grandfather was Monty Sr., my father was Monty Jr., and I'm Monty III. But I don't use that affectation here in Australia. Now, Hipsch is a fairly unique name. It's actually a German name. It's actually spelled H with an umlaut, BSCH, pronounced Hübsch. It's the German word for pretty, which you can tell is a falsehood. But if you Google me, if you just wrap that name into Google, you'll see that I used to be called the Google Guru. And when Kate Vale opened the office for Google 20 some odd years ago in her kitchen table in Sydney, the first Google office in Australia, I was there. So I've been a long-serving Google partner. I've got a Google partner statue over here on my desk. And I spent a long time doing Google AdWords and SEO. At one point, I was the 5th largest Google reseller in the APAC region, which included China and Japan. I was managing $5 million a month. But I've kind of stepped away from Google over time because I consider them, when they got rid of the do no evil in their corporate bio, Sergey and Larry, they started to change a lot of things. And so I've been withdrawing slowly from Google since then, at least as a revenue generating program.
Yeah, there's always been a problem at the intersection of businesses and consumers about just exactly what is evil. And, you can find plenty of people who will have bad things to say about big corporations. And in the early days of Google, it did present with this do no evil motto, and it did kind of hold out a candle for a hopeful future. But yeah, and I have to say, all the AI companies and all of the big tech companies all kind of look the same in the way they deal with customers now. And so, as always, it's buyer beware, and consumers have to protect themselves.
Yeah, well, in the case of Google, extremely powerful company. I mean, their initial comment was they wanted to index the world's information. And they've effectively done that. And then it was they wanted to give you Google Maps on your phone, and that's very good for navigating, and location services, and Google Drive, and so they've created a lot of apps. And while I'm not making a revenue doing Google AdWords anymore, I still have a half a dozen Google apps on my phone that I use regularly. But the old saying is true: if it's free, the product is you.
Well, let's leave the ancient history alone for a while, and talk about AI. Now, and you should introduce your business, because you've got apps as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Altman kind of launched AI in October of 2022, and I probably hopped on the train in October of 2023, building my first AI app that had a chatbot built into it, and the app is called Preserver. It's the ring that you see on the side of a boat with the red stripes or blue stripes that you throw in the ocean to save people. So I created an app which you'll find in both the Google App Store and the Google Play Store and the Apple Store, called Preserver. And you'll see that ring, and that's my app. The app is 100% free, has no registration, no email, no credit card, no nothing, and it lives on your mobile phone, and it allows you to collect. It uses all the native features on your phone, but on one screen. So it allows you to capture words, speech to text or typing, video, pictures, and text, all from one screen, which is date and time stamped with GPS coordinates and a map.
Yep, it sounds wonderful, but let's talk about something else. It was a very long commercial. Let's talk about me. No, let's not do that. I will talk about Outsourcing Fit later on, or another episode or something. I've recently discovered OpenClaw, and everyone knows about OpenClaw. I think it's the fastest growing rah in the world. It's an AI system that lives on your computer, on your desk. The recommended computer for it is a Mac Mini, but it will run on anything, I'm told. I'm running mine on a Mac Mini. It's an old Mac Mini, and it runs quite well. And I'm trying to put together a group of AI agents that will do stuff for my business. So some of the stuff it does for me, first of all of my agents have got names, because I think of them like a team of workers in an organization. So they're in an organization chart, and the general manager is called Jake, and Jake is OpenClaw itself. He has a friend and a colleague who works with him, and that friend is called Ian, and Ian is a Hermes agent. It's a competitor for OpenClaw. And the reason I have two of them is they watch each other to make sure they're working. So they both have the ability to do some repairs on each other, and they both have the ability to alert me on WhatsApp on my phone when one of them is not functioning. So if there's a computer problem, and if you're our age, you know there's always a bloody computer problem. If something goes down, something happens, then that second one who's watching the first one comes to life. And Jake uses Anthropic's large language models, which is what's behind Claude and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And Ian uses DeepSeek, which is a Chinese, almost free model. And then I have another model called Gary, which is a llama or llama. It's actually the LLM. It's the large language model itself. So it's installed. It's only a small one. It's installed on the Mac Mini as well, and it doesn't need to go to anyone else for its intelligence. It is its own intelligence, and it's pretty good. You know, it's not great with logic and stuff, but it does research for me.
So does it access the internet then, Wayne, or is it just knowledge that it lives inside the AI?
To only talk to me, it lives inside the AI on the Mac Mini. And I actually don't talk to Gary. Jake talks to him, just as the boss would talk to a junior employee. So we treat Gary like a junior employee. But one of the tasks we've given it, because Outsourcing Fit keeps a directory of BPOs in the world, we've said to it, go out to the internet, find the BPOs, find out some information about them, put that in a database. So it sits there all day and all night, just going to the internet, churning away at that. And there is no cost in that, because I'm already paying for the internet. I pay for that. I'm nowhere near the capacity of my internet. So it's chewing that up. The only cost is the electricity that the computer's using. And that's a big thing for data centers. You will have heard all sorts of issues about that. But it's only running a Mac Mini, and I've got solar power on the house. So it's running on the solar.
So when it's scraping the internet for these outsourcing companies and collecting your data, that data is all going into your own proprietary knowledge base. It's not.
It goes into a couple of things. It starts off in SQLite, SQLite, if you like, which runs on. It's a light version of a SQL database, yes, but it'll handle 1 million records, and that's more than I need by a long way. And it has some limitations, but it puts all that information onto the Mac Mini, and then Jake comes along and shifts that information in batches to another SQL database, MySQL, which is running on a virtual server that we run a website on, where we have the directory. So, and that database is much more comprehensive, and you can do a lot more with it. And that's also the CRM for my business. So until recently, I have had an expensive CRM, you know, costing me $12,000 a year. I discovered what I think lots of small business owners discovered. I'm the only one who ever used the bloody CRM. None of the other staff ever used it. Despite threats and cuts to bonuses and all sorts of things, it just never got used. And I was tossing up going to one of these other ones that advertises, oh, the CRM your sales staff will love to use. But I thought, bugger that. So I said to Jake, can you take the data out of our CRM, because it's got an API, an application programming, I can't think what it stands for now, a computer connection to it. And I said, can you take all the information out of there and put it into our business intelligence database? And it went, yep, no problem. 20 minutes later, 5 minutes later, done. So then I said to Jake, we need to build an interface to that so that everyone can, you know, put in new people and do all that and look stuff up and whatever. He said, why? I can do all that. All of the staff have access to Jake via WhatsApp. So they have it on their phones. So if you want to know something in the CRM, you just pull up your phone, open up WhatsApp for Gary and ask it a question. Tell me what prospects have been allocated to me that I haven't followed up in the last 5 days. As good as instantaneously, splat. Here's their names. Then you say, oh, damn, I should have asked you for their phone numbers and email addresses as well. And then splat. Here's them, names, email addresses, so on and so forth. And then, like all of the AIs, they're all yes men. They all try to be very nice to you. Is there anything else I can do for you? It's like, no, that's all I wanted. And then how do you put new stuff in there? If you get a business card, which, you know, because we're old, we still get business cards from some people. I know I can actually see people going, oh, business cards. Yeah. But when we get a business card and you want to put it in the CRM, you get your phone with your WhatsApp, you take a photo of it, you send it to Gary and say, put this in the CRM. And he optically character recognizes, OCRs, all the detail off the card and sticks it straight into the database. If you don't want to do that, you can just type it in, or you can actually turn on your microphone and say it in. And Gary will then try and interpret your voice, and you have to have a couple of rounds of corrections with pronunciations and spelling and stuff. So yeah, the whole CRM's moved there, and we're doing lots of that. Now I know you're doing this with your YouTube videos. Tell us that story, because I'm doing the same thing, but you're much better at this than I am.
Okay. I'm using a software package called HeyGen. You pay for it. It's I think it's about $40 a month Australian in my case, maybe 30 something or 25 USD, and it allows me to clone my image, my face. I can clone the body as well, or it will create its own body for me wearing what I ask it to do. It will record my voice. So it's actually building an avatar with my image, my voice, and I can even ask for hand motions, and it'll do that. And it'll use my voice. And then I can create original content. We'll circle back around on this original content, Wayne, but original content that I've reviewed and written. And yes, I use AI to give me some informations and prompts, but then I refine it myself. So that it's all from me, and I put that prompt into HeyGen, and it generates me a professional quality video with me, whatever background I want. My background right now is an artificial background of a bookshelf and whatnot, but I can say, put me standing in Machu Picchu, or put me at the Trafalgar Square in London or New York or whatever I want. It'll have that. It'll have my body, my motions, my eyes going up and down, and lip sync. But this is a live podcast, so none of this is done with AI. But it creates an AI for me, and and that way I can create significant amounts of video content that I can post on YouTube. I tend to do YouTube Shorts because the data I'm reading. A short on YouTube has to be less than 180 seconds. Google just told me the other day, you're getting good tractions with your videos. Most of mine are about 2 minutes. It said try to keep them under 60 seconds. So I'm working on that. But they go out, and then it's got a share button, which allows me to take that video and with the click of a button, put it on LinkedIn, put it on X, and put it on Facebook and TikTok, or email it. So it's my content creation information that's and I use that information to continually build my knowledge base as well, because I do lock that knowledge base that I have, my proprietary one, which is my experience and wisdom, and I don't want it open to the public.
So Monte, I've also been using HeyGen. but I find it takes me a few goes to get a video right. I agree with you. It put my pants on for me because I sent it a photo of myself just wearing one of these orange t-shirts and a pair of shorts. And then when I looked at it on the screen, I thought, nah, shorts doesn't do it. Put me in an office and give me a pair of jeans to wear. And it did that. But it was more complicated than I expected it to be. It works pretty well. It is cheap. It did cost me more than my subscriptions US for $29. But I did have to buy another $15 worth of credit to get, I think, 4 videos done. They're also on YouTube, by the way, if anyone wants to go find them. And when I look at them now, there are some skips in the thing, and it sounds like a dog barking. In fact, I had 2 of my staff tell me that they could hear my dog barking in the video. I said, no, you can't. I didn't record anything. I didn't have a microphone on. I didn't even write the script. I just said to give me a script, and I read and approved the script, made a couple of changes, and the voices in the video is entirely AI. So is this something that's practical for someone to get into if they're looking to do some business marketing with this stuff, or is it still got to go through another generation to be worth using?
Well, I started with HeyGen over a year ago, and its evolution and the tools that it has, it'll now do full movie screen stuff, although limited in length, I think, to a minute or two. Full body stuff. It can have you walking through the downtown streets in Manila or Sydney or whatever. It keeps evolving. So the HeyGen that we're using today, I understand what you're saying. As they keep adding these features, the complexity and where you go to do things changes. And when you make changes, it can cost you more money. I'm going to show you a way to spend less money because it didn't cost me $40 to get 4 videos. I can do 400 videos for $40. So I'll share that. But content is still king. Distribution of content, which used to take, hair, makeup, videographers, lights, all that sort of stuff.
Worse than that, it used to take envelopes and stamps.
Yeah, yeah, all of that. It can now be done by the software. I know you're in the Philippines, and I just saw a video today that says a lot of animation is going to be wiped out. A lot of people were doing animation, including Disney, who has a large staff in the Philippines to create animations for their movies. They're going to be able to do all that with AI.
Yeah, that's all outsourced here. And AI is going to eat the lunch of some outsourcing businesses, but it's a topic for another day because we don't want to go on forever here. But yeah, I think there will still be a human role in outsourcing. Speaking of going on forever, folks, wherever you're seeing this, and by that I mean we're going to post it on YouTube, but it could be on LinkedIn, it could be on TikTok, it could be a snippet here or a snippet there. Wherever you're looking, if you found the content useful, if you'd like to hear more, let us know, because it does feel a little bit like masturbation. It's very lonely. I'm not saying I have a camera on when I'm masturbating. That's not what I meant. It's a pity we're live. We could edit that out otherwise. But it does feel a bit lonely because there's just Monte and I having a chat. So do all the things you do to show your appreciation. Subscribe, click on the notification button, whatever it is on your platform. Send a heart, and send, if you've got messages, if you've got suggestions, if you think it should be longer or shorter, or it should be all there all together, and we should just go back to our early morning cup of tea chats. Tell us that, message us, and we'll do that. I think we're just about 5 minutes away from the half-hour mark, and I thought that might not be a bad point to stop. How would you wrap up
along that line? If you do find us, particularly if it's on YouTube or someplace else, and you have the ability to comment, please comment, because we read all the comments, and it will influence our future conversations and everything. So your opinion matters.
Yes, and we read them whether they're good or bad.
Yes.
I can't say we love the bad ones, but we need the bad ones. We love the good ones because we both have an ego. So reach out. How would you wrap up the chat, Monte?
I think and you'll have a comment on this, Wayne. We've discussed this. I think technology and our ability to use this, I think we're using Google Teams to record this. Is that correct?
No, Teams is a Microsoft product. We're using Google Meet.
Google Meet. Sorry, we're using Google Meet. And Wayne, I've known you for 2 decades or more. I believe that human interaction is one of the defining activities that separates us from AI. It is the connections. And we'll talk about that in a future video about how to future-proof your job and your company if AI is coming in and how you differentiate from AI. You can't do it on knowledge because all the AIs, including DeepSeek and everything else, have indexed the whole internet. So they've got every book that's ever been written in every language. But it's the interface between people. And I know you, and in fact, you stayed in my house a year ago for a few weeks. But it's because of our relationship that we can now maintain that relationship using Google Meet or Teams or Zooms or whatever platform you like. It can maintain relationships, but they normally don't start that way.
I agree with you. Face-to-face is the best way to start a relationship. I also steal a line from Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting when he said, "You have no idea what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel." And whilst the AI might have read every book about every art piece, everything in the Sistine Chapel and who did it and where they did it and every history, the AI has no idea what it feels like to be in the Sistine Chapel.
Yep.
Mind you, neither have I haven't been there. But you get my point. So,
well,
folks,
AI has no ethics and it has no values and morals.
Folks, we're on the way to heading out.
Yes.
Monte Hipsch makes his living from his Preserver app, and that URL, Monte, is?
Well, preserver.me is the website, which has the link to both the Google Store and the Apple Store. Or you can just go to either one of those stores and put in Preserver. And like I said, look for the life ring that you see on the side of a boat, and away you go.
And the nice thing about his product is it's free. I make my money out of Outsourcing Fit. We do everything around the outsourcing world, not just in the Philippines, but in other countries as well. We do it for BPOs. We do it for clients. We do it for people who are looking to work in the BPO sector. So you'll find me at outsourcingfit.com, and that's how I make my money. So
I'd just like to add in there, Wayne, and it's a plug for you. I've worked with Wayne in the past. I had a VA and I had a partial accountant, and so I'm a small business. I don't have I'm not Salesforce or anything like that, but even then outsourcing made sense because there were people there and I could buy a portion of a person, didn't even have to buy a whole person. And it's a great service, and I highly recommend it even if you're a sole operator.
Yeah, and as you can probably tell, folks, I love the sound of my own voice and talking a lot. So, I'm happy to have a chat with anyone about anything outsourcing related. I'm also happy to have a chat with anyone about what we talked about here today. So before time gets on and we do another half hour rambling on, you should see another one of these pop up on your services wherever you get this sort of content. It should pop up about once a week, but we're too old to commit to a timetable. So we're just going to do them roughly once a week, depending on what's happening. So thank you for your attention, and I'm Wayne Buckler. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Say goodbye, Monte.
Goodbye, Monte. No, I mean goodbye to the viewer, and we'll see you next week.